Welcome back to 5 Minute Monsters, your spark notes to understanding TTRPG monsters. So who do we have today? The Basilisk? Oh, that's plenty good. Stone Gazer, looks different just about every time you see him, everywhere you see him, but generally well known. So you might be wondering, who is Mr. Basilisk? And as I said, he's a creature from mythology. I mean, you can look any 10 types of ways and he's been something. He's been a lizard, he's been a snake, he's been a bird, he's been pieces of all of them. No different than how chimeras might have different bits and bobs attached to them, the Basilisk's pretty similar. But the biggest things that draw me out with the Basilisk is it is usually scaled somewhere, and it almost always will turn something to stone. So next up you might be wondering when to Basilisk. And with this creature who can be a real danger and a real pain in the butt. To an unprepared party, or a party who's low on spell slots, or may not have the ability to reverse the stone gaze petrification, oh, this could be trouble. To low levels, terribly so, to even the middle and middle higher end, if you're at the end of a cave trying to look for somewhere to rest and you stumble upon its bed, well, maybe you're in for some trouble. Now that being said, this is all well and good as long as, the party passes their checks, or maybe they're able to cure it, or I don't know, maybe the wizard just blows up every room with fireball until there are no threats, and who am I kidding, odds are mid-level parties are going to probably do that anyways. Next up is where to Basilisk, and the short answer is caves. Basilisks like caves. However, if you want to spice it up, make something a little different, there's some thought and precedence to say that maybe basilisks can be trained, and to me, monster pets are almost always really, really cool, so maybe you can put it anywhere and tell quite the story by someone in their domesticated basilisk. Next up, we got what is Basilisk, and as aforementioned, they're monstrosities that live in caves and turn things to stone. Now, in my world, they're going to be part of the natural order. A lot of monstrosities are just going to fall into the animal kingdom fairly naturally. However, I mean, they're from mythology, they've been seen countless different places, every game, system, fantasy setting, everything has their own version of it, so sky's the limit. Next up, why Basilisk? And with that, I gotta say, petrification's scary. Being in a cave, drained of resources, having to fight something while averting your gaze, these are tense problems. And it can be definitely pretty frightening, and that's coming from someone who was a former cleric who got petrified, and they had to haul my stone-ridden body all the way back to town. Yeah, it was stressful, and a little sad, because I just sat there the whole session. But beside the point. So some interesting facts about basilisks. There's some stuff that points out that basilisks have the ability to turn themselves into stone if they catch their own reflection, so very Medusa of them. Oftentimes, basilisks are capable of eating stone. That's how they digest, because they turn you to stone and they nibble on your bits and your legs and all that, and their stomach cures the petrification, turning it into raw organic material. This to say, a clever enough party, a capable enough ranger, might be able to harvest some of that stomach oil to be able to undo some petrification, if treated, if processed. Last but not least, the big guys are sort of lazy, slow, and sluggish. They're heavy set. They're not really what we call the go-getters of the scary monstrosities. Kinda need to stumble upon them. They're not gonna come hunt you down. And lastly, we're into the interesting ideas, and I have two for this one. As aforementioned, the idea of having a basilisk as a pet really speaks to me. The thought of some flamboyant, over-the-top king, or a wizard with a magic shop, or a just friendly enough hag having a domesticated basilisk who stands guard, but doesn't really do a whole lot. Just sounds downright adorable. The other idea I had for my world is perhaps making a dragon that acts as the ancestor to basilisks. There's something about its design to me that kind of speaks more crate dragon, cave dragon, generally, than just reptile, but that might just be the part of my brain that wants to take most reptiles and associate them to dragons to kind of build a greater, understood animal kingdom. And with that, I'll kind of close off the Basilisk by saying, eventually I'll be talking about various dragons, and maybe the Basilisk dragon will be one of them. With that, I've gotta say, magpie responsibly out there, and thanks again for viewing, and if you're particularly interested in how I feel about wizards running around caves, blowing up things, check out my video on Fireball, or check out my video about world building or any other topic. I'll be really happy whatever you view.